Best in Class, Treasured Classics, 1924, 1934, your Auburn Speedster. 1931 Auburn Motel Speedster, that was the first year for that body style. It was only made 3 years, 31, 2, and 3. And the designer was a man named Al Weenie, who designed the L29 Cord as well, and did a little bit of work on the Model J Duesenberg when it came out. And of course, Auburn, Cord, and Duesenberg were all owned by a man named E.L. Cord. Best in Class, brass antique through 1923. A 1911 Buick touring car owned by Jeff and Rebecca Schreiner from Mondovi, Wisconsin. A Buick. Wouldn't you really rather drive a Buick? And there's a beautiful all brass. Notice the brass trim. That was way before chrome and silver. Brass trim on that beautiful 1911 Buick. Outstanding in its class, brass antique through 23, 1912 Ford Model T touring. Another brass era automobile. The first bright work on many cars made in America. And the horn work. Thank you. Owned by Jim and Sherry Perry from Maple Grove, Minnesota, 1912. Notice wooden spoke wheels and no front doors on that Model T, the car that put the world on wheels, the Model T Ford. Outstanding in class, American production, 1970 through 1980. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most fabulous muscle cars ever built in Detroit, a 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. Hemi Cuda. The E-body, little lightweight, with that big 426 elephant motor. It was called dual quad carburation, almost 500 horsepower. The little E-body Cuda. That's got the rear quarter billboards, they were called. A rear deck wing, shaker hood, hood pins, 426 Hemi motor with twin 4-barrel carburetor. Owned by Greg and Linda Nelson, Prior Lake, Minnesota. What a beauty, a 71 Hemi, only a handful built. That was the last year for production Hemis in a street automobile. 1960 Pontiac Ventura, bubble top, owned by Philip Jensen from Richfield, Minnesota. The Ventura, named after the city in California. Pontiac Ventura, 1960, called a bubble top, lots of glass, little tiny metal top, a Ventura two-door hardtop, Philip Jensen from Richfield, Minnesota. Overhead valve V8, lots of performance with fender skirts and full wheel cover. Thank you, sir. Pontiac. Unfortunately, no more Pontiacs being made of any kind, and there's one of the good ones, named after a city in California. Thank you very much, Philip Jensen. Outstanding in its class, foreign cars, 1965 through 1980. The owner is Rand Bailey from Spring Valley, Wisconsin. And it's a Triumph Spitfire. Left-hand drive. A high-quality English roadster built for the U.S. market. A Spitfire, 1500 convertible, 1975. Left-hand drive, knockoff chrome wire wheels, trunk rack on the back, headrest, room for two, and a very high-quality British sports car. Rand Bailey, Spring Valley, Wisconsin, the Triumph. Lots of horsepower, a high-quality British roadster built for America. Outstanding in its class, early century collectibles, 1936 through 1948. Take a good look, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very few of these in existence. Fewer than a handful. 1937 Hudson Terraplane 5-window coupe. What a beauty and what a rarity. Hudson Essex Terraplane. Owned by Jim Finesse from Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. And what a beauty this is, ladies and gentlemen. The the very, very desirable Cadillac 16-cylinder dual windshield sport Phaeton. 16 cylinders under the hood. That was the first year for a 16-cylinder Cadillac, 1930. And if you wanted wind protection for the backseat passengers, you cranked up the windshield for the backseat. Dual windshield. There are instrumentation in the back for the backseat passengers. Thank you. Owned by Penny and Lee Anderson from Nisswa, Minnesota. Complete with a trunk on the back. About $6,000 back in 1930. That was the first year for the Cadillac 16, and there are only 15 or 16 known to exist today. Best in class, treasured classic 1940 Buick. 40 Buick, this is an 81C, and the 80 series is the limited model, long wheelbase, big Buick overhead valve, straight 8 motor, dual side mounts, just about the last of side-mounted fenders at General Motors, owned by Craig and Sandy Carlson from Chanhassen, Minnesota. Treasured classic, 1935 through 1949. 1947 Cadillac Series 62 Fastback Sedanette, Fastback design from Cadillac, the standard of the world, 1947. That's a V8 motor, but a flathead V8 engine, just about indestructible. 1947, Series 62 Fastback Cadillac, owned by Larry and Linda Clement from Bloomington, Minnesota. Back to a Buick. Outstanding in class, early century collectibles, 1924 through 1935 and 1928 Buick Master Sport Roadster. Best in, outstanding in class, 28 Buick, and this car's got it all. So the top goes down, the windshield folds down, you've got a rumble seat with armrest, luggage rack, dual side mount, driving lights, rear view mirrors, and a hood ornament on top of that radiator, owned by Blair and Shug Bury from Casca, Minnesota. Thank you very much, Blair. I'll do it. Here's a muscle car from Oldsmobile. How popular they were, how great they are. The best in class American production, 1970 through 1980. A 1970 Oldsmobile 442, but in addition to the 442 high performance option, it is also the double W30 edition. Aluminum rear end housing, aluminum intake manifold, plastic red fender liners on a W30. Fiberglass hood, I believe, with hood tint dual sport mirrors. This is a fabulous muscle car in the rare convertible version, owned by Randy Grachek from Blaine, Minnesota. Blaine, Minnesota. Big 455 V8, tons of power on an Oldsmobile 442. 24 through 1935. A 1934 DeSoto Airflow two-door coupe. There is a rare car built by Chrysler Corporation. We occasionally see the Chrysler Airflows, but the DeSoto Airflows are very rare. This was the first year for the Airflow. The trio at Chrysler engineered the Airflow. It was an extremely bold statement by Chrysler in 1934, when all the other cars had chrome radiator shells and vertical radiators. This was built with aerodynamics in mind. It's a unibody construction, and what a beautiful restoration. Very few of these around, owned by Fred and Renee Muir from Cold Spring, Minnesota. Best in class American production, 1949 through 54. This is a 1951 Chevrolet 3100 series pickup. An advanced design, and that was special. For 1951, it's got the rear quarter windows in the back, a short bed step side with red wheels, the optional chrome bumper and chrome grille, owned by John Sexter from Minnetonka, Minnesota. Outstanding class, American production, 1949 through 54. A 1950 Oldsmobile Holiday Futuramic two-door hardtop, owned by Steve and Sandra Olson from Excelsior, Minnesota. Boy, that was a long drive, too. I hope you can make it home. 1950, that was the first year for the two-door hardtop called the convertible hardtop, which was pioneered the previous year by Cadillac in the Coupe de Ville. And you've got the second year for the overhead valve V8 motor, which Oldsmobile did a wonderful job engineering. Congratulations, Steve and Sandra Olson. 1950 Oldsmobile. Holiday two-door hardtop, no pillars, and a Futuramic. Best in class early century collectibles, 1936 through 1948, 1937 Buick Century convertible coupe. That's not a special, ladies and gentlemen, that's a Century, which is the big Roadmaster motor on the special chassis. 1937, owned by John Mathisrud from Mendota Heights, Minnesota. An XK150 Jaguar fixed head coupe. Beautiful in black, left-hand drive, built for the U.S. market. A great English automobile, an XK150. And that designation meant that it would do 150 miles per hour. Left-hand drive, double overhead camshaft, 6-cylinder motor, lots of power. What a great success Jaguar had with the 120, the 140, and this rare 150. Later, the XKE came out. Thank you very much, sir. Jaguar XK150. Class early foreign cars.
Yeah, Jim.
1954 Austin Healey 100 BN1 Le Mans package, owned by William Height from St. Paul, Minnesota. The 100 model, that meant it would do 100 miles an hour. Left-hand drive, built for the U.S. market, louvered hood with hood straps, and there are no roll-up windows. You had to use side curtains in case it rained. 1967 Alfa Romeo 1600 Spider, the Duetto, owned by Kurt and Julia Jensen, Maple Plain, Minnesota. Alfa Romeo, very expensive. A radical design by Keenan Farina, and you see the Farina badges on the front of the rear quarter. Thank you, Kurt. Kurt and Julia Jensen, Maple Plain, Minnesota. Alfa Romeo. Best in class, specialty class. 1946 Nash Super 600, Nash 4-door. Boy, there's a great name out of America's motoring past. The Nash, owned by Ken McGowan from Rogers, Minnesota. Corsair Deluxe. Lowell Fiddler from Burnsville, Minnesota. Well, that's a rare one. Built, specially built, for Henry J. Kaiser's son. One of the last ones made, a deluxe. From production 1955 through 1959. The last year for a Packard. And I know it doesn't look like a Packard, but Studebaker and Packard got together in 1957 and 58, and they took essentially the Studebaker body, designed by Raymond Loewy, put a special front end on it for 2 years, 57 and 58. This car belongs to Todd Langenfeld from Prescott, Wisconsin. The B-body, Mopar Muscle, designed by Bill Bromley, who wanted a larger muscle car than the E-body Cudas and Challengers, and this was the result. The RT stands for Road and Track. This car is owned by Daryl and Marge Anderson from Henderson, Minnesota, and part of the Scat Pack promotion that some of us remember. 1968 Dodge Charger. Outstanding in class, American production, 1960 through 64. 62 Oldsmobile Jetfire F88 convertible. V8 power. 2-barrel carburetor. Is this one turbocharged? The rare option turbocharged. That's a small car with a lot of power from Oldsmobile. Jim and Kathy Noel from Bloomington, Minnesota. Congratulations. The very rare F88. Outstanding in class, American production, 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado Deluxe. Toronado, one of the first Toronados by Oldsmobile, beautifully engineered. This car is front-wheel drive. It was the first front-wheel drive in America since the Accord. went out of production in 1937. Front-wheel drive, very, very special styling, a very, very durable automobile with a 425 high-performance V8 motor, owned by Dan and Sue Jones, Maple Grove, Minnesota. Class modified. Started life as a 56 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. The owner, what a great story. The owner bought this car brand new, built a custom, sold it in 1962, lost track of it, found it again in 71, and then, against all better thought, he sold it again in 72. We don't know why he did that. And the owner that he sold it to kept it for 32 years, and then you found it again and bought it for the third time. Congratulations, sir. Will you keep it this time, please? Okay. Everybody votes for you to keep the car. Marlon Egbert from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. He built that car back in the 50s. How about that? What a great custom. That's called a custom car. That's modified 1947 Ford Super Deluxe convertible. Highly, highly modified. Oldsmobile grille bars, dual quad headlights, side pipes, fender skirts. That top looks like it might have been chopped a little bit. 3 inches, a 3-inch top chop, and that's a Carson top, I'll bet, that comes off with an all-white interior, owned by William Allen from Prior Lake, Minnesota. 300 letter cars, 1957 Chrysler 300C Coupe, owned by Chris and Beth Cutts from Wild Rose, Wisconsin. The 300C, one of the early letter cars. Chrysler wanted to engineer high performance in a full-size luxury car, and boy, they did it upright. Started in 1955 with the P300 through 1965 with the L, the 300L. Here's Chris and Beth Cutts in a 57 300C coupe with a Virgil Exner fins, Hemi motor, chrome wire wheel, tan interior, beautifully appointed, very few made, a 300 from Chrysler. Best in class, 300 letter car, 1960 Chrysler 300F. F convertible, owned by Bob Brown and George Collar from Wisconsin Rapids, Minnesota. Here's our 1958 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham. One of the most expensive cars built, ladies and gentlemen, in the 1950s. The car came out in 57, built through 58. About 400 were made. Over $12,000 cost new. Stainless steel roof, suicide rear doors, air suspension, memory seats, rear seat heater, air conditioning, dual quad carburetors, and I believe there's a vanity set with it. There's a 57 was dual quad, 58 had 3 carburetors, and only 400 made for 2 years by Fleetwood. And then the construction of the Eldorado Brougham went to Kia in Italy because it was cheaper to build them there. Rick Payton from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Thank you, Rick. Oh, here's John. Here's John Allen. People Choice in the automobile category. This award-winning 1931 Auburn Motel Speedster, John Allen, Naples, Florida. That's the Speedster that beat over 50 Speedsters down at Auburn last year in that big contest hosted by the Auburn Court Duesenberg. Wow. 79 Honda CDX. There it is, owned by Randy and Gail Peterson, Stillwater, Minnesota. Stillwater, Minnesota. Look at that gorgeous Honda, 1979. A tourer bike. This bike sold new for around $4,000, and look at that engine, set sideways with all the exhaust, everything's chromed, aluminum, polished, 6 cylinders. What a ride, what a beauty. Congratulations, Randy and Gail Peterson from Stillwater. That's the People's Choice Motorcycle.